lines, just $30 each. Click, call, or visit a Spectrum store today.
We said we'd never break the 3-second rule. Never do that. And never become a minivan mom.
Hey, Chris.
As parents, we say never a lot, but never happens. So when you say you'd never leave your child in a hot car, know it can happen. Before you leave the car, always stop, look, lock.
Good morning, I'm Bree Driscoll, and here's your Spectrum News in 90. The National Security Council is working to find out how a journalist's number was added to a group chat in a secure messaging app where top Trump administration officials were messaging plans for upcoming military strikes in Yemen. President Donald Trump initially told reporters he was not aware that the highly sensitive information had been shared, but later appeared to joke about the breach. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth claimed nobody was texting war plans and attempted to discredit the journalist. Justice Department officials say the Trump administration is invoking state secrets privilege so it doesn't have to give more information on deportation flights. Those flights are at the center of a legal dispute over whether the government was violating a judge's temporary restraining order that blocked President Trump's use of the Alien Enemies Act to deport accused members of a Venezuelan gang. And firefighters are working to put out several wildfires in North and South Carolina. High winds and dry conditions have caused the fires to grow to thousands of acres over the past few days. More than 260 firefighters have been deployed to help with the effort. Governors from both states have issued states of emergencies and asked residents to evacuate if they are in the impacted areas. That's your Spectrum News in 90.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. I'm meteorologist Ramel Carpenter with your weather on the Ones forecast. We are warming up big time across the southern plains as we get going into the afternoon hours today. 90s across Dallas and to the upper 90s across the southwestern United States in Phoenix. And high temperatures are going to be running about 10 to 15 plus degrees above the average across the central plains. In the northeast, though, we're going to stay on the cooler side of things, and we had some snowfall yesterday. We'll talk about that in more detail coming up in 10 minutes.
Secret military plans were unintentionally shared by U.S. officials with a journalist after he was accidentally added to a group chat. Hello, everyone. I'm Bree Driscoll, and thanks so much for joining us here on Spectrum News. Today is Tuesday, March 25th. The Atlantic's editor-in-chief, Jeffrey Goldberg, reports he was added to a message chain earlier this month, which included top officials from the White House's national security team. In the chat, discussions about striking Houthi rebels in Yemen. Now Congress is demanding answers from Trump administration officials. Spectrum's Angie Gonzalez joins us now from Washington. Angie, the Senate and House are both holding hearings over the next 2 days, so this will be the first opportunity for lawmakers to ask officials about this report. What can you tell us about that and the journalist added to this group message?
Well, a Senate hearing today and a House hearing tomorrow were supposed to feature intelligence officials' assessments of the biggest threats to the U.S. worldwide. Instead, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard and CIA Director John Ratcliffe are expected to be grilled about this report from the Atlantic's editor-in-chief, Jeffrey Goldberg. Now, Monday, of course, he revealed he was accidentally added to this group chat on the messaging app called Signal, in which Gabbard and Ratcliffe were both listed as recipients. In all, 18 of President Donald Trump's national security advisors were included in the discussion. A National Security Council spokesperson told Spectrum News that this message thread breed does appear to be authentic and that war plans to strike rebels in Yemen were discussed. In response to the report, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is trying to discredit Goldberg.
You're talking about a deceitful and highly discredited so-called journalist who's made a profession of peddling hoaxes. Nobody was texting war plans, and that's all I have to say about that.
That's a lie. He was texting war plans. He was texting attack plans. When targets were going to be targeted, how they were going to be targeted, who was at the targets, when the next sequence of attacks were happening.
Now, Bree, both Democrats and Republicans have condemned the use of this messaging app to discuss such plans because there are other ways that they could have communicated using secure government channels. Bree?
And Angie, what is President Trump saying about all of this?
Well, according to the White House, the president still has, quote, the utmost confidence in his national security team. But there have been calls in, of course, the House and Senate for many of those who were involved in this chat to step down, including the chat's organizer, National Security Advisor Mike Waltz. Now, a lot of criticism has also been placed on Hegseth for the information that he shared in the chat. Now, Bree, House Speaker Mike Johnson, however, is defending those involved, calling the situation a, quote, mistake, saying that it won't happen again. He added that Waltz and Hegseth both should not be punished. Bree?
Angie Gonzalez. Thank you very much, Angie. Justice Department officials say the Trump administration is invoking state secrets privilege so it doesn't have to give more information on deportation flights. It's in response to an order from Judge James Boasberg, who temporarily blocked Trump's use of the Alien Enemies Act to deport individuals accused of having ties to a Venezuelan gang. Boasberg asked the government to give more details on when the flights took place to see if the order was violated. The DOJ argues the court already has all the information it needs, and any further intrusions on the executive branch would be harmful. Wildfires in North and South Carolina are burning out of control. Hundreds of firefighters are working to contain them, but the fire response effort has been hindered by regional impacts from Helene, like debris and blocked off roads. Weeks of dry conditions combined with wind have caused the fires to grow by thousands of acres. North Carolina Governor Josh Stein is urging residents to monitor emergency alerts and follow evacuation orders. Meteorologist Ramel Carpenter joins us now. Ramel, what can you tell us about the conditions these firefighters are facing?
Yeah, they actually had some good news yesterday. It's just unfortunate that the amount of rainfall that we picked up yesterday afternoon did not amount to much across western North Carolina. We've picked up around ½ an inch in some of those areas, and well to the east, we picked up some rainfall totals a little over an inch, and we really needed that over the mountains to help fully contain that wildfire. But the next several days are going to be very dry across southeastern portions of the United States. We're going to have some gusts picking up as well, ranging from 20 to 40 miles per hour as we transition into tomorrow afternoon and evening, which is not ideal, but as we transition into Thursday and Friday towards the end of the week, winds will be much lighter to help those firefighters get closer to 100% containment. But as a result of the wildfires that are ongoing in western North Carolina and South Carolina, we have poor air quality alerts in place for the rest of the day today and likely getting extended into the day on Wednesday as well, Bree.
All right, meteorologist Ramel Carpenter, thank you very much. New this morning, we are seeing the body camera footage from outside of the home of actor Gene Hackman and his wife from the day they were both found dead. Santa Fe officials releasing it to the public. Our Jenna Enoch has the latest.
Outside the home of Gene Hackman and his wife, new footage shows investigators talking with the couple's longtime contractor and security guard after no one had seen or heard from them for weeks.
No, the last time I seen them was probably around the 8th of February, going in and out. Okay. And that's like about 2 weeks.
Authorities are only releasing some of the body cam footage from their investigation. A New Mexico court granted a temporary restraining order last week against the release of any photographs or video showing Hackman and his wife inside their home. The recordings are from deputies on the property after the bodies were discovered. The contractor told deputies the couple would have been upset if he called police for a wellness check, and a bunch of officers showed up at their house to find nothing was wrong. So he decided to check on them himself.
Me and him,
you guys both did?
Yeah, we walked down on that side. Checked the door on that side. It was locked, and he said this door is never locked. So then we kept walking, and I seen something laying there. I thought it was animals that she has. Yeah. Until I see him, I've seen him like just buckle up, turn around, and then that's when I see him laying there. You know.
The contractor and the couple security guard spoke about their dogs and how important they were to Hackman and his wife. You can hear investigators speculate about the cause of death.
First, my concern is a carbon monoxide issue right now.
A medical examiner ruled Hackman died of heart disease with complications from Alzheimer's disease a week after a rare rodent-borne disease claimed the life of his wife. Jenna Enoch, Spectrum News.
Cuts to government agencies like NOAA could lead to less accurate weather forecasts. Coming up, how these efficiency measures could also impact the food that ends up on your table.
weather can be beautiful, inconvenient, and at times powerful. And it affects everything we do. At Spectrum News Plus, our weather experts update you with the information and the context you need so you can better plan your day. And we do it every 10 minutes. We're the calm in the storm. Weather on the Ones on Spectrum News Plus, exclusively on Spectrum. And get your weather anytime on the Spectrum News app.
I really am in the middle of nowhere. Every day is different. Chores, come on, homeschooling, and then I fit in the rug business. I just got a new batch of rugs that I'd love to show you. I have a website, and a lot of what I do is sharing my home life. Mommy's leaving. Reliable, high-speed internet is the foundation of our business. Spectrum was great. They went out of their way to make sure that I was okay and I was taken care of. Shoo! And that's the awesomeness of having Spectrum.
You're not gonna get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff.
Mama!
Like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
Even the mighty might not see it coming. It's prediabetes, and it captures 1 in 3 adults. But you can escape. Take the 1-minute prediabetes risk test to know where you stand and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. Be your own hero on smartphones everywhere at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm meteorologist Ramel Carpenter with your Weather on the Ones forecast. Hard to believe it is the first full week of spring across the northeastern United States, especially when you're getting images like this. This was sent to us by Lynn in Maine and around the Nees-and-Scott River area, and that snowfall really piled up yesterday. We had snowfall rates around 1 inch, 1.5 inches per hour, and it really added up across the northern portions of the state. But if you want to share your weather photos with us, you can do that easily by downloading the Spectrum News app. And you'll notice that, as I mentioned before, the higher snowfall totals were across the northern part of the state, where we had some areas picking up a little over 1/2 foot along the immediate coast across Maine and down into Vermont and New Hampshire, right around 2 to 4 inches of snowfall with yesterday's storm system, which is now working its way off the northeastern coast. So should dry out completely over the course of the day today, but you'll notice over the last 24 hours that snowfall was working its way statewide, and we're going to be dealing with some lingering flurries through the first half of the day today, but our storm system continues to work its way off the northeastern coast. I do think we do have another chance for some wintry weather in this part of the country as we get into the middle of this week, but across the central plains we have high pressure in full control, which is going to allow for some warm temperatures to develop as we head into the middle of the week as well. But as I mentioned before, we do have that chance for some more wintry weather in the northeastern United States. Not a big chance, not expecting the widespread snow that we were dealing with to start the week off, but you'll notice we'll be dealing with scattered snow showers up in Maine, Vermont, across portions of New York as well as we get towards Wednesday night into early Thursday morning. Not expecting any significant snowfall totals from this, but we're going to be dealing with more wintry weather and some snowfall as we transition into the end of this week. Temperatures, though, as I mentioned before, in the southern plains, we are going to be nice and warm, highs in the low 90s across the state of Texas, but up in the northeast, we have highs in the 30s and 40s from Chicago all the way up to Portland, Maine, and we're going to see a pretty nice warm up in our temperatures, running about 20 plus degrees above the average across the central plains as we transition into the second half of this week. And this looks to be the trend as we head into the first several days of April as well, but more wet conditions in store for us. We'll talk about that coming up.
Look at what you need to know. The National Security Council is looking into how a journalist's number was added to a Trump administration group chat in a secure messaging app. The Atlantic's Jeffrey Goldberg learned of a plan to carry out airstrikes in Yemen hours before they took place. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth denying the incident, saying nobody was texting about war plans. Wildfires in North and South Carolina are gaining ground despite efforts to contain them. More than 250 firefighters from across the country are working to slow the spread and protect structures. Large sections of both states are facing elevated fire risks. And that's a look at what you need to know this morning. The Trump administration now argues the detention of pro-Palestinian protester Mahmoud Khalil was justified because he intentionally misrepresented information on his green card application. According to court filings, the administration alleges Khalil failed to disclose his employment with the British Embassy in Beirut and the United Nations Agency for Palestinian Refugees. Officials say Khalil is now charged as inadmissible because he, quote, tried to procure an immigration benefit by fraud or willful misrepresentation. Khalil's attorneys call this argument weak. He remains in federal custody in Louisiana. His next hearing is scheduled for early April. One of the agencies responsible for letting us know what weather is on the way is facing cuts from Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, and the National Weather Service have offices across the country. NOAA is central to many businesses, from shipping at the ports to farms, but these sectors could see major changes. Spectrum's Chase Beach explains how the cuts will impact the agriculture industry.
Farming in California, it's crucial work that depends on so much going right, especially when it comes to the weather. Produce like this, sold at farmers markets, requires soil, water, and the right amount of sun, says Alejandro Weiser of Weiser Family Farms.
They're great roasted.
Alejandro says knowing when temperatures are right to plant and pick delicate crops like lettuces and fruits is crucial.
Everybody on the farm, we're checking the weather forecast. Maybe a crop is more frost sensitive. And if the night temperatures are below 32, we'll hold back.
The agricultural industry is just one of many that relies heavily on that type of detailed weather data. Most of it's provided to the country by the National Weather Service and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA. John Dumas is the Science Operations Officer at NOAA's Oxnard office. They monitor weather across SoCal.
So that we know what's going on and we're prepared for anything that might be hazardous that's coming our way.
But NOAA may not have been prepared for the impact of President Trump and Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency. NOAA is one of the agencies that's already been impacted by cuts, with potentially 10% more of the workforce set to be eliminated. These protests were held outside of NOAA's headquarters in Maryland earlier this month. Musk has repeatedly defended workforce cuts, saying the people voted for major government reform. Dumas wasn't able to speak about the anticipated DOGE cuts, but says NOAA's goal is to keep the country safe during all types of climate-related events, especially here in California, where one rain system can have vastly different impacts because of the state's topography and microclimates.
You can go from, say, Long Beach down here to 10,000 feet within 50 miles. So we really have all the different kinds of weather.
Dumas says there are always at least 2 people on call here in their operations center watching weather patterns. NOAA and the NWS also provide information to cargo ships entering local ports, fishermen, and local governments. The National Weather Service sent out the particularly dangerous warning alert in anticipation of the recent LA wildfires. And of course, he says they provide information to farmers about weather that could impact crops.
One storm like last week, we had marine warnings, we had beach warnings, we had the flash flood advisories and warnings, we had winter storm warnings going through the grapevine.
And farmers like Alejandro say they rely on warnings.
It gives you information that you can make better judgments through your growing season.
But the uncertain federal forecast still lies ahead. It's one that could impact many industries and people across the state. Chase Beach, Spectrum News.
A painting of President Trump hanging at the Colorado State Capitol has been taken down. The Executive Committee of the General Assembly's Legislative Council issued a bipartisan directive yesterday that the portrait be immediately taken down. Trump called the portrait, quote, purposefully distorted on social media and demanded its removal. The painting was unveiled during Trump's first term and has been hanging at the Colorado Capitol since 2019. Republican Colorado Senator Paul Lundeen says the portrait will be replaced by one that depicts the president's contemporary likeness. Just ahead, the use of solar energy is on the rise, why a growing number of farmers are giving it a shot.
Spectrum News Plus. News from a new perspective, dedicated to refreshing storytelling and empowering communities across the nation. With balanced reporting, providing real context and in-depth coverage 24 hours a day.
Here's a look at your forecast across the country.
Local stories, connecting communities. We are Spectrum News Plus. Streaming now on the Spectrum News app and free with your Spectrum subscription.
Starting a business is hard. You have to stay connected at all times.
As we've been growing the studio, Spectrum's been there every step of the way. I'm always able to make the phone call that I need. I'm able to shoot that text message or that email. Every vital piece of equipment that we have here uses Spectrum.
Fast, reliable internet, starting at $40 a month, backed by the Spectrum commitment to keep your business connected.
Food isn't just fuel to live, it's fuel to grow. My family relied on public assistance to help provide meals for us. These meals fueled my involvement in theater and the arts as a child, which fostered my love for acting. The Feeding America network of food banks helps millions of people put food on the table. When people are fed, futures are nourished. Join the movement to end hunger, and together we can open endless possibilities for people to thrive. Visit feedingamerica.org/actnow.
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff, like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. I'm meteorologist Ramel Carpenter with your weather on the Ones forecast. It has been very dry of late, especially across the southwestern portions of the United States, where we have picked up extreme to exceptional drought conditions, areas that could really use some wet weather over the next several days. And across the eastern half of the United States, we do keep extreme drought conditions across southern New Jersey. Elsewhere, moderate to severe drought scattered across this part of the country. And we did pick up some much needed rainfall in many of those communities as we started the week off yesterday as our frontal system worked its way off the eastern coast. But given the dry conditions, the breezy weather, the low humidity, we've had several red flag warning days across the southeastern United States, and has led to numerous brush fires and wildfires ongoing. I want to focus in particular the fires ongoing in western North Carolina. They have burned over 4,000 acres over the last several days as well, and that's because of how dry it's been. But we did pick up some rainfall yesterday, just unfortunately did not amount to much by any means. Less than half an inch of rainfall has fallen over the last 24 hours across western North Carolina, which is not necessarily good news for fully containing that brush fire, but had some much needed rainfall, around an inch and a half up into the far northeastern portions of the United States. And then the hot spot yesterday was around the Gulf Coast, where we had multiple rounds of heavy rainfall, even a few severe thunderstorms across southeastern Louisiana, adding up to around 2 to 3+ inches of rainfall. But thankfully did not cause any flooding concerns or anything of that matter. And we're going to dry out briefly with our weather pattern. We have a weaker system working its way across the Midwest, bringing some light rainfall, nothing too impactful by any means. But we are certainly going to see our rain chances picking up across the southern plains as we transition into the second half of this week. That's pretty much where the active weather is going to be. We are going to be dry and quiet across the southeastern United States, and then focusing in across southern Texas is where we're going to have a system bring some much needed rainfall in many of those areas across southwestern Texas as well. But this is going to lead to some flooding concerns as we head into the end of this week. Rainfall totals will easily exceed 3 to 4 inches over the next couple of days, and some spots could easily pick up over half a foot of rainfall as we transition into the end of this week. You'll notice across the rest of the country, though, we're going to be dry and quiet with minimal rain chances, a good deal of sunshine, and temperatures trending well above the average for this time of year. But looking ahead, as we get into this weekend, another round of severe thunderstorms will be likely across the Midwest. We're going to have watched this area in yellow on our Saturday, and then transitioning into Sunday, a good portion of the Midwest and portions of the Gulf Coast will be under a risk for some strong to severe thunderstorms, with damaging winds being the primary concern. And as more data comes in, we'll continue to monitor the situation.
As the cost of electricity increases, solar power is becoming a more attractive energy option. According to the Solar Energy Industries Association, the U.S. power grid added more capacity for solar power in 2024 than any other year in the past 2 decades. And farmers are one of many groups taking note of solar power's popularity. As Spectrum's Cassidy Wilson reports, a growing number of farmers are getting on board with the idea.
For Melanie and Chad Hawk, farming has been ingrained in their families for generations.
Been doing this for 35 years.
But back in 2021, their landscape literally changed when they decided to turn some of their land into a solar farm.
Did find that this would give us a constant and consistent source of income that doesn't rely on weather outputs.
The Hawks did a lot of research before leasing 450 acres of their farmland to the Amazon Hillcrest Solar Project. These solar farms use renewable energy to power Amazon's data centers and distribution centers in the state. The Hawks say it also had a positive impact on their farmland.
The solar farm does put a Ohio pollinator species ground cover on the soil, and it keeps our topsoil at rest.
Grant Goodrich, executive director of the Great Lakes Energy Institute at Case Western Reserve University, says many people often debate whether solar farms belong in their communities. He says it all comes down to their association with the land.
If people look at a site that's getting ready for solar development and they see a brownfield, they see a garbage dump, they have a very positive association with putting solar on that site because from their perspective, that site's being improved.
But not everyone sees it that way. Many farmers oppose renewable energy, worried it could hurt the amount of crops they're able to produce.
Well, if people's association with that land is they remember or they see a field of wheat, a pasture of cows, and they understand that development's going to come in and change how that looks, and they're going to see rows of solar panels, they tend to have a negative association with it.
But Goodrich says there are ways that solar farms can coexist with the natural habitat.
So that may mean wider rows where animals are allowed to graze in between the rows. It may mean wider rows where you're planting crops at the base of solar panels.
For the Hawk family, they say the solar farm that now sits on their property is benefiting the community.
That tax money is now increased into $1.8 million on a yearly basis. So that's helping the infrastructure from the township trustees for our schools down to the state for our roads, and definitely has made a big impact there and will over the course of the life of the project.
For Spectrum News, I'm Cassidy Wilson.
I'm Bree Driscoll. Thanks so much for watching. Your Spectrum News in 90 is coming up right after this short break. Stay with us.
I tell my son, I love you every single day. I love you. Now, my dad has never said that to me. Not because he doesn't love me, but because culturally it wasn't comfortable for him. Now that he's a grandfather, he says, I love you to my son every time he sees him. My advice to all the fathers out there, forget the cultural restrictions. They grow up way too fast for you to waste even a single precious moment.
It's game time at the arena, and 20,000 fans are looking for a win. With an ultra-high-speed network and seamless Wi-Fi, fans can get in the door fast and share the game's best moments in real time. And with Spectrum Business committed to keeping them connected 100% of the time, they won't miss a second of the action. A secure, reliable connection from Spectrum Business means the fan experience is a guaranteed win.
Sometimes in life, in order to move forward, it helps to look back. To learn from the pioneers and trailblazers.
To gain inspiration from those who came before us.
to show us what it means to act with empathy and to show that love has no labels.
Join WWE and Love Has No Labels throughout the year in celebrating people from all communities and heritages.
Because when love has no labels, that's a love we can all fight for.
Women are bad with money. That's what the world's been saying for centuries. But now we've got something to say. Save it.
It's time to save ourselves by saving our money.
Until we're no longer 80% more likely than men to live in poverty in retirement. Save it. The falsehoods, the feelings of fault. Then, the funds. Learn how to save for your retirement at WeSaySaveIt.org.